Those are visuals from Nazi Germany the night of November 9th, 1938. A night that will forever be known to Jews as Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass, named after the massive amount of broken glass that littered the streets of German cities after the windows of Jewish-owned stores, buildings, and synagogues were smashed by the Nazi SA paramilitary forces and regular normative German civilians. 267 synagogues were destroyed that night throughout Germany, Austria, and the Sudetenland. Over 7,000 Jewish businesses were damaged or destroyed, and 30,000 Jewish men were arrested and incarcerated in concentration camps by the Nazis. Ever since the Holocaust, for over 70 years, the slogan, "Never Again," has been said over and over again, giving over the message that with education against hatred, and specifically against Jew hatred, we will create a better world without hateful events or persecution. For decades, the Jewish world was pretty confident that the level of Jew hatred, aka anti-Semitism, was lessening, that it no longer focused exclusively on Jew hatred. So they expanded the Holocaust education to be more general against all hatreds and prejudices. Like this totally inappropriate exhibit in memory of George Floyd at the Florida Holocaust Museum. Regardless of what one thinks of the death of George Floyd, there is no reason that a Holocaust museum host an exhibit in memory of that guy who happened to be an ex-con who once even threatened a pregnant woman with a gun, killed during an arrest by a police officer. Again, regardless of one's opinion about what happened to him, his death and why he died, his death and memory have nothing to do with Jew hatred or the Holocaust. And hence, a Holocaust museum should not host an exhibit about it. And that's just one example of how Holocaust education has just metasized beyond Holocaust and Jew hatred. At the same time, we are witnessing a very worrying surge in Jew hatred across the United States and Western countries from all angles. Jew hatred from the Islamists around the world, Jew hatred from neo-Nazis, and the biggest modern growth of Jew hatred has been from the progressive left. So many Jewish leaders and Holocaust scholars are scratching their heads saying, how can this be? Why this growth in Jew hatred? They are stumped trying to figure out how it can be that with all the Holocaust museums across the United States, with all the Holocaust and genocide education programs in schools across the country, and with all the wonderful messaging against hate and prejudice, even by the progressive left, even with all of that, we are still witnessing and experiencing a growth in Jew hatred, making many Jews, even and especially in America, feel unsafe like never before. Of course, the conclusion of many of these Jewish leaders is that more education is needed. Not enough is being done. Not in enough schools. Not in enough campuses. Well, while more education is always good, they are failing to properly analyze the situation. They seem to ignore the fact that much of the Jew hatred today is being spread by plenty of well-educated professors in universities across the West and the United States of America. Educated people are those who are chief instigators educating university students today to hate Jews. Here are just a sampling of educated professors spreading Jew hatred. Meet Abbas Qasimi, a professor at the University of California, Merced's Engineering School. He tweeted atrocious lies and incitement, including tweets that include claims the U.S. is controlled by money-hungry Zionists and writing Israel hell in place of Israel. And now meet Thomas Brennan, a professor at Ferris State University. Ferris State University fired Brennan for using anti-Semitic, racist, homophobic, and other inflammatory language on social media. And meet Professor David Miller of Bristol University in the UK. A professor of political sociology, Miller said Israel wants to, quote, impose its will all over the world, and it is, quote, fundamental to Zionism to encourage Islamophobia and anti-Arab racism, unquote. As if the Jew-hating comments of the professor wasn't enough, he had tons of fellow academics, other professors, side with him. These are all well-educated people who probably are very familiar with world history, the evils of hatred, prejudices, and even the Holocaust. So, with very well-educated professors throughout the West promoting Jew hatred and a hatred for Israel, the solution to ending Jew hatred is not more education. Many professors across the West openly teach anti-Israel and Jew-hating messages to their students. They are not teaching about problematic policies that they disagree with. They are teaching that Israel does not have the right to exist, that Israel is performing genocide, that Israel is like the Nazis, that Jews run the world. Like this professor at Illinois University, who published a paper titled, quote, "The Palestinian Genocide by Israel." This is only one of many, many papers and courses explicitly filled with Jew hatred and Israel hatred. Or the professors at Clark University, who led a symposium titled Book Talk, The Holocaust and the Palestinian Nakba, a new grammar of trauma and history. Right? Jews are no longer the Jews. The Palestinian Arabs are the new Jews persecuted by the new Nazis, the Jews. Well, the Amcha Initiative put together a list of 200 anti-Israel professors in U.S. universities, including Columbia, Brown, Duke, Georgetown, and many, many other very prominent U.S. universities. These are all well-educated professors spreading outright Jew hatred via their classes, talks, books, papers, etc. So no, again, more education will not assure never again. The bottom line is that all the Jewish leaders and Holocaust experts who focused on Holocaust education to ensure the slogan never again have consistently ignored one basic truth. Jew hatred always existed, and Jew hatred always will exist. While we still should educate against it, just focusing on education about it won't stop it. Our current situation and reality express that quite clearly. No, there is only one answer: to put into place a true policy of never again. Want to know what never again policy really is? This is never again. Fulfilling the dream of serving as an IDF soldier. That and only that is never again. A proud Jewish people standing up for its rights and ancestry and traditions in its homeland. I drafted into the IDF back in 1993, and I continue to serve in reserve duty today, sometimes for a month every year or so, even though I'm already past the age for reserve duty. Personally, I'm not giving up on this privilege to defend my people and my homeland until I'm no longer able to give added value to my unit. This is a blessed privilege I'm never giving up on. The Army contacts me each year to sign a paper that I still give over permission to serve, even though I am now exempt from reserve duty according to Israeli law. Why do I do this? Because I understand that Jews have always been the scapegoat of society throughout history, and we will continue to always be the scapegoat of society. Just look at all the conspiracy theories today blaming the Jews for the COVID-19 virus, for the vaccine issues. We get blamed for everything from all angles. There is no way to escape it. That is just the DNA of the universe. Jews are always the scapegoat of society. We also happen to be the canary in the coal mine, so people should wake up when they come after us. But call it jealousy, call it unexplained hatred, call it whatever you want. Inexplainable Jew hatred has always been, it always will be, and it is never going away. So never again is just a slogan that does nothing unless we take action to ensure never again. Being proud Jews, standing up for our true identity and history and traditions, and having the existence of the modern state of Israel with the first Jewish army in 2,000 years, the IDF. That is one and the only answer to truly ensure never again. As a kid, I dreamt of moving to Israel and having the privilege to serve as a Jewish soldier in the Israel Defense Forces while living in our ancestral homeland. Why? To live the dream of the Jewish people and to be an active participant in the one and only action that truly ensures never again. While memorials are nice, museums are nice, ceremonies are nice, and educational programs are nice, none of them, not one of them, can ensure never again. The only solution to never again is a strong Jewish state of Israel with a strong Jewish army that stands tall to defend our homeland, our people, and all those who live with us in peace. And of course, to hold on to a strong belief in the one above, because without him looking after us, even with the IDF being the strongest army in the world, we wouldn't be able to survive. So when will I stop joining my unit for my yearly reserve duty? When the day comes that I'm no longer an asset to my unit. That is when I will stop. Until that day, so long as I'm still capable of running, shooting, guarding, and doing everything I need to do to be a good soldier as part of my unit, I will continue to take advantage of this historic privilege given to me to live in this generation, to serve and defend my people, my homeland, and my God, like no Jew was able to do during 2,000 years of exile. And what's the solution for all Jews who do not yet live in Israel? Be proud Jews. Support Israel. Stand tall and be proud of the state of Israel. That is what will scare our enemies off, by standing up proudly for your Jewish identity and the Jewish state of Israel. Am Yisrael Chai. The Jewish people lives.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.